Hey fellow foodies, it's Faye from facefood.com, and today I'm going to show you how to make pâte à choux, and we're specifically going to be using this dough to make cream puffs today. So in my saucepan I have some cold water, some salt, some sugar, and butter. We have this over a high heat, and we're going to cook this until the butter is fully melted. And for this job you're going to want to use a wooden spoon, and you'll see why later. Okay, so with French pastries I always use European style butter. It has a higher butter fat content, butter fat percentage. And the reason why that's important is because that's what they use actually in France, is the higher butter fat in their butter. But also it's going to lead to, so it's going to be a more authentic taste. So it's going to lead to a better texture and better flavor. So you can get away with using just regular American style butter for cookies, cakes, things like that. But with French pastries I always use the European style butter. So you can see that you just want to give it a mix every now and then to kind of help the butter melt a bit quicker. And again, we have this over a high heat. Okay, and then once the butter is fully melted, we're going to add in our milk powder. You can use skim milk powder. You can also use malt powder, which has some milk powder in it. That will work fine. And all you're looking to do here is you're going to mix until all the milk powder is fully dissolved. There's no more lumps in there. If it takes a bit longer, feel free to turn down the heat temporarily to give it a mix until everything's dissolved. Right, so we're back up to a high heat. I'm sorry, we took it off the heat. You want to take it off the heat for this part when you pour the flour in. We're using sifted cake flour just for a softer, kind of better texture of the pâte à choux. Obviously, like I said, once you pour in the flour, you want to take it off the heat temporarily. We're going to put it back on the heat, and we're going to give this a mix with our wooden spoon. You're going to get a bit of a workout. You want to just mix this until it starts to come off the sides and the bottom of the bowl of the saucepan. It will form a bit of a skin, and most importantly, the flour will be fully dissolved. What we're doing over this heat is we're cooking it. We're cooking the flour taste out of it. So all that needs to happen before moving on to the next step. And what I have, I think I turned down the heat here, so it should be about a medium heat at this point. And you want to just take your time, don't overmix, just do this just until you can see that a dough has formed and there are no more lumps of flour in there. So piping hot, next step is to pour that dough into the bowl of your stand mixer. I have it on the lowest setting, which on a KitchenAid is a 2. And I'm mixing this just so that the heat can dissipate a bit. You can see the steam coming off, which is what we want. And we're just going to, again, mix it just for a minute or 2 on the lowest setting. You can actually see that the steam will begin to lessen as you mix. And also, as you feel the bowl, feel it when it first goes in. Just be careful, obviously, but it's going to be piping hot. And then if you have asbestos hands like me, it's not going to be an issue. But then feel it a couple minutes after, and you'll see that it has significantly cooled. And that's important because we don't want this mixture to be super hot before adding in our eggs, or else we'll just get scrambled eggs. Okay. So now what I'm doing is I bumped it up just a little bit, the speed. I think it's at a 4 now, and I'm just adding in my eggs one at a time. I'm mixing well between each addition. And I didn't do this on video, but I highly recommend to stop the mixer after each addition and scrape the bowl really well. It's going to make things incorporate a lot easier. So with pâte au choux, it's actually with French pastries in general, it's very important that term mise en place. It's very emphasized with French pastries because they're easy to do, but easy to mess up as well if you're not prepared. So please keep this in mind. Prep everything, prep your ingredients, equipment, all the stuff you need to actually make this recipe. Make sure it's all prepped out before even getting started. Okay, so we finished mixing. I took the bowl off the stand mixer and I just am scraping down the bowl really well. I definitely recommend you do that. We're not looking to mix it, we're just looking to scrape thoroughly. Alright, so I have a pastry bag lined with an Atico 805. You want kind of a medium-sized round tip. And I have a silicone mat lined with, a baking sheet lined with silicone mat. And it has been sprayed with some cooking spray. And you can see the technique here. I'm about a 1/2 inch above the baking sheet, squeezing lightly until it mounds up. And then I'm giving it a light swirl at the end. And the way you don't get like a pointy tip is you swirl it onto the dough itself. And if you mess up, you can always scrape them out, put them back in the bowl, put them back in your pastry bag, and start again. Though you do want to work a bit quickly with pâte au choux because as it sits, it will form a skin. And of course, if you don't have a silicone mat, you can also line it with parchment paper, and there are actually templates online that you can print out to draw the circles onto the parchment, of course with some non-toxic pencil, and you'll get the same effect with this mat. So you can see I piped them out about a 1/4 inch to a 1/2 inch apart. Okay, so after you pipe them on there, you want to just dip your finger into some water and lightly tap on the top, and that will take care of any excess like swirly top, the tip, the pointy tip. That will take care of all of that, but I just do that for all of them. And then I'm brushing on some heavy cream, just very lightly, be gentle with it. We don't want to deflate these. So once the heavy cream is on there, you want to have your oven preheated at 450. Once it's actually in the oven, turn it down to 425. We're going to bake it at 425 for 10 minutes and at 325 for about 30 minutes. What you're looking for is for them to be risen, golden brown, and that's what you're looking for. Please make sure to not open the oven door. As the steam escapes, it will make the puffs more likely to deflate. So please, as tempting as it is, use your flashlight on your phone through the oven door. That's how I check on them. Don't open the door prematurely. Also, once they're out of the oven, I actually use a small pin to prick the tops. And the reason for that is I don't want the heat to kind of concave and steam inside. I want these to be crispy. I don't want them to deflate. So I find that that helps. It allows a little bit of the steam to escape after cooking. So after these cool a little bit, you can cut them up in half and fill them like I am. I use some unsweetened homemade whipped cream. The reason why I use unsweetened is because I find that the puff itself, dusted with sugar, is going to be sweet enough. But to each his own. You can also, not cut them in half. Just prick them from the bottom with your pastry tip and fill them with some homemade pastry cream. I was going to do that, but I didn't have the ingredients necessary to show you that one. So we're going to fill them with some whipped cream, which is perfectly fine. Obviously, you want these to cool just a little bit. You want to eat them warm, but you want to cool them just a little bit before putting cream into them, or else you'll just have a big mess on your hands. But you can see just how easy these are to make, how beautiful they look already, and we're not even done. Now these are obviously best eaten immediately. You can also keep them on hand in a plastic bag at room temp, and when you want to crisp them up, just put them back in the oven at like 325 for about 5 to 10 minutes, and that should help crisp them up again. So now what I'm doing is I'm dusting it with some powdered sugar. This is just personal preference. You don't have to do this, but You know, I always go extra with things like this. And you can just see how beautiful they look. Very, very delicious, and a lot easier than you probably thought they were to make. So I hope you guys give this a try. For the full recipe, go to facefood.com. Comment below if you have any comments or questions, and subscribe to this channel for more great videos on the way. Please give this a try. I'm sure you will love it. And until next time, guys, I hope you have a wonderful day.
I've been reading you to figure what you're down for. I wanna figure out to make it come around. No, we should quit the game and settle things right here, right now. I've been thinking about it. I've been thinking about all the things you do.